Hi folks, it's David back again with another video. It's time for me to give the rundown on a couple of movies I saw recently, or at least it's been about a month actually. We saw Rambo, Last Blood. I could not believe my mother, well, I could believe it. It was her birthday. I didn't really want to see the movie at the theater because I had so many misgivings, so many preconceived notions about the way cinema's been going lately and the way they've been treating some of the classic characters in these franchises. I was concerned, or at least I thought, that they were going to kill Rambo off. I really did. And by the way, spoilers, big time spoilers in this review. If you haven't watched the movie and you don't want it spoiled, please skip this and maybe come back and listen to me once you've seen the film, because I am going to give a few details that'll just, well, it'll give the movie in too many ways. So here goes. I thought they were going to kill Rambo. I heard that they've already given him cancer in the Rocky movies, Sly's other iconic character that he made. And forgive me, I have not seen the Rocky movies. I know that's horrible. I'm going to watch them one day. But yeah, I'm going to watch them. Don't need anybody else in the comments because I've already made a video on my other channel about how I haven't seen them. And somebody said, dude, seriously, did you say you haven't seen Rocky? Yes, I haven't seen Rocky. At least not that I can remember, ever. So yeah, I thought they were going to kill him. And I'm like, I'm not up for this. I hate what they're doing to these movies. I'm not going to the movies to see a funeral. That's disgusting. Just the very thought of that. I'm not up for it. But it was my mom's birthday, and sure enough, she said, we'll see the Rambo movie. So we went to see the Rambo movie. And after we were out, she said, that was rather graphic. Yeah, it was graphic, all right. Anyways, I don't have any notes prepared about this review. I'm just going to give a few brief thoughts, try and keep the video short, but I know I'm going to ramble on for a while the way I do. Directed by Adrian Gunberg. Co-written by Sylvester Stallone and Matthew Korolnik. And it's come to my attention online that the original creator of Rambo is basically embarrassed by what this director has done to it. And I understand exactly what he means. I understand what everybody means when they say that this film has basically destroyed the franchise, or tainted it at least. But I've seen a lot of people use stronger language like, yeah, they destroyed it, man. I don't want to say that, and yet I can't take it back. Keep in mind, I have not seen Rambo 4, John Rambo. My excuse, I'll watch it one day, I'm sure, but in 2004, whenever it came out, I just wasn't there in my mindset. I was working at the shipyard in Pascagoula, Mississippi, my first real job, heavy job ever. I'm 19 years old, kind of miserable at that job, having to get up at 3:30 in the morning and start work at 6 at a shipyard, the biggest employer in Mississippi. I wasn't big on a lot of things at that point. I was just trying to get through my days. Anyways, I was in the whole apprenticeship there as a welder, a structural welder. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I just didn't see the film back then, and I still haven't seen it. When I'm free to really delve into movies and get into them the way I want to for a future career that I've been dreaming of for several years, I'm going to watch these films. But until then, probably ain't going to happen. Anyway, the first 3 films I have seen. I love First Blood. And I also like the second film. People talk online about how John Rambo ended it so well, they should have just left it there. And I have seen online the ending scene on like YouTube clips of the long road scene, where it's like he's all the way back to where it all started, walking down that road. A warrior who survived the fight, a free man, at peace, and just beautiful. I wish they had used the original Long Road music for that scene, but I think they used a different music, a different score in that scene, at least from that YouTube clip I watched, and that's years ago now. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They could have ended it with First Blood, as far as I'm concerned, or they could have ended it with Part 2. released from prison if you're willing to go on this mission. He goes back to the jungle where it started for him, where his agonizing time was. He finds his fellow warriors, his POWs. He frees them. He gets with Murdoch. He says, I'm coming to get you. So many great things in that movie. The way it ends, we wish our country would love us as much as we love it. It's so great. It's so great. They could have ended there. No, we got to have another film. We got to be more specific. Now we got to go after the Soviet menace itself. We got to go to Afghanistan and fight them off there. So it's like, at that point, it's like this may never end. This could be something. It could be Rambo in space for one day, for all I know. That's the feeling you can get when you think of it that way. But really, they could have ended with First Blood. They could have ended with Part 2. I'm glad people like John Rambo. Again, I haven't seen it, but from the clips I have seen, it looks like a bloodbath movie, kind of gory. And this film, Last Blood was a major gore fest. So now that I've gotten some background info done there, let me get into what I saw in the movie. First things first, Sylvester Stallone is weathered. He's getting old, like everybody else in the world. Eventually gets old and goes the way of all the earth. With that said, he's still in shape. He takes great care of himself. He looks good for what he's doing, for the character he's playing. And my main complaint from walking out of the theater was, you know what, let me build up to that point. First things first, he's on a ranch. He's got like this young lady who's like a ward of him. He's looked after her since her childhood. Not related by blood necessarily. Spanish speaking. It's got stuff to do with there's Mexican-U.S. border issues in this movie that I can see now was part of the quote-unquote propaganda the online writers were talking about, but more on that in a second. It wasn't heavy messaging, though. Really, the only thing that I recall that was directly said was by Sly when, you know what, I'm skipping ahead. Anyways, the young woman is kidnapped down in Mexico. She goes down there against John Rambo's advice, directly against his advice, and she gets herself kidnapped. Anyways, then he's going on the steps with the lady who's like her aunt, who's also like his like caretaker of some of the home duties, upkeeping the place, his ranch and stuff, different stuff. And he's going down the steps of his house enraged, and he says, "You're not going to shut down the border. They don't do SHIT." That's the only thing that's said about the border at all. Everything else is just kind of incidental, and as much as the story takes place in two separate countries, and Mexico is the other country from the U.S. that it takes place in this movie. That's it. That is literally all. So I don't really get the, what's the word? The nativist, xenophobe, whatever stuff that a lot of people were getting their panties in a wad about as far as this movie. It's basically just a gory, hardcore violence, bloodbath of an ending movie. That's really all it is. I saw nothing of racism, nothing of any of that. But then again, that's just me. Look forward to your comments and questions if you disagree. But starting from the beginning, he's on a ranch. The young woman's his ward. He's looked after her since she was a small girl. The tragic history that you learn about as the movie goes is that her mother died when she was very young. And her father, a man in Mexico who went back and just kind of abandoned the family. He went back for reasons that she doesn't understand. She doesn't know. And that's what she wants to know more than anything. But he's in Mexico. He's not coming back. And her aunt, I think that's what she is, her aunt, and Sly say to her the whole time, You're not going down there. It's too dangerous. Wait until you're older, and we'll arrange something. I'll explain things more to you. It's one of those stories. The headstrong young person wants what they want, and they end up rebelling against the advice of the older people who know what's going on. Classic story. It just doesn't... I don't like... I like Stallone a lot, so I don't really like ragging on the stuff he does. But there are some legitimate complaints I have against the film, but I'll get to that as I go along. And I am just going to take my time with this. He's riding his horse. He's like, back up, go left. Making all the horse noises and everything. Lasso on a rope. He's doing his ranch stuff. He looks good doing it. I really like Sly. Something doesn't seem right as the movie progresses, because it's like he's obviously done with that old life of looking for a fight. He alludes to that, and you know what? Thinking about that now, I give it more credit. And as much as he says, I'm not what... He doesn't say I'm not what you think I am. I'm just trying to keep a lid on it. His rage that he has had, the berserker rage against tyrannical, brutal people, wherever they are, or if they're in the jungle, if they're in Afghanistan, if they're the police who don't want to tell you where you can get a shower and a good meal, and like in the first movie. He's keeping a lid on it. He's trying to seek peace. He's on his ranch, minding his own business. That's what is hard to compute at first, and as much as you're always used to seeing Rambo either dim song fighting or running from the police, either setting a trap or ambushing somebody. That's what you see Rambo doing in so much of his Rambo movies. But I bought it. I really did. He pulled it off. And again, big time spoilers. When she's kidnapped, he goes after her. And he gets the crud beat out of him by the Mexican cartel guys. I shouldn't call them cartel guys, because I don't believe the movie actually said they were doing drugs. They are sex traffickers. It is hellish, truly hellish, the imagery that you see in this film as far as the human trafficking, sex trafficking stuff. Nothing explicit, but the way that the bad guys talk to these women who they have captive and are making them serve them, and well, whatever. It's bad. It's really bad. And the two leaders are brothers. I don't even remember their names. Again, it's been over a month since I saw the film, and I'm not looking at IMDb right now. I'm just enjoying the weather as I talk and try and get a good review done. Not even a good review, just my thoughts about the movie, just for the record. Keep this channel going. Thinking back on it, they were, especially early on in the movie, it goes stupid. Their behavior goes utterly stupid at the very end of the movie, going after John Rambo the way that they do. But they were just evil, no conscience, sinister guys. Utterly cruel. They're the bad guys. There's no doubt about it. And being in Mexico, everything you hear about in the news, from the horrible violence that's taking place in Mexico to the lawlessness that's here and there, kind of programs you going into the movie to like, man, this is kind of a dark story here. What's John Rambo going to do here? He's just one man. Well, he gets beaten down. Something awful is what happens. And there's this lady who tracked him from the bar where he found the guy who he believes is going to lead him to where his young friend is being kept hostage. And it is a horrible story of this young woman, this other person who, again, I can't recall her name, but she's the friend of, I'll just call her his ward, who he's looked after her whole life, basically. She thought she was a friend, but she sells her out so fast and even takes her bracelet from her. And that's the tale that things have gone totally bad. When John Rambo gets with her and he sees her wearing his young friend, almost his daughter's bracelet, he realized what's going down, and he goes full. I think these action guys are actually trying to outdo each other. I know in one of Liam Neeson's movies, he shot a woman in the shoulder to make her husband talk, and her husband had been a partner and friend of his in one of those Taken movies. They're really up in the ante as far as the torture stuff and everything, but John Rambo didn't do anything quite like that. He did mutilate a few people to get him to talk, though, along the way. And again, it's more intense than some of the movies that I remember from the 80s and 90s. Well, the 80s, sorry. There wasn't anything in the 90s, I don't think. Or am I wrong? I can't recall. When did Rambo 3 come out? Early 90s or 89? Anyways, it just seems like it's too much as far as the brutality. Don't get me wrong. At the end, he goes full on, just full beast mode, savage. You see that he's got these tunnels built under his place that he just kind of keeps, and he just stirs around down there and does whatever as part of his lifetime preparation of if anything goes down, he'll be prepared, kind of like Bert from Tremors. He's ready to go. Anyways, he actually lets his ward, his young friend, invite her friends down there to have their little party. And you see some guy hitting on her, and you're like, oh, great, John Rambo's going to have to come in here and slice this guy up. No, that doesn't happen, of course. But you can just see a telltale sign there that she's kind of wayward. You can see it's kind of like building up for this moment of rebellion where she's just going to flat out go against his advice. She's going to sneak into Mexico, and she gets herself captured. Well, he goes down there, and there's this scene of her having been marked. Literally, her face sliced open the way they sliced open John Rambo's face after they beat him down. And again, there's something about it that's just... I don't know how it's different from, say, in Part 2, Rambo, in First Blood Part 2, when the Russian guys torturing Rambo with that, they electrocute him, but they also burn his face a little bit. There's just something about it that's different. It's darker, and it seems more brutal the way they're doing it in these movies, and especially in this movie. That's just... I don't want to call it over the top or what. I can't explain it, but maybe you can help me. Maybe you understand what I'm trying to say. Anyways, they beat him down. They leave their mark on him, basically just a deep cut in his cheek. They do the same thing to her. They mess her face up, and then they drug her. They drug all the women that they have as sex slaves, and they hold them captive in this dungeon in whatever part of Mexico they're in. He goes back after this lady who, again, she spotted him stalking this guy who he knew was going to be able to get him to where she was being held so he could rescue her. Well, the lady rescues him, and then she explains after he wakes up after 4 days of being unconscious, knocked out from the horrible beating that he took, that her sister had been kidnapped and died as basically a sex slave in this secret network that these villains are keeping. And I don't think you see her again until Rambo goes back to Mexico. He goes, actually, I'm having a hard time. No, yeah, he did. He goes back to America, to his Arizona ranch, or New Mexico, or whichever state that was in, and he gets his tunnels ready. He gets ready to fight. You see him sharpening arrows. You see him getting ready. And you're like, oh, great. What's he going to do? You know what he's going to do because it's a Rambo movie. I never thought I would see this in a Rambo movie. And this is part of the over-the-top brutality that I'm getting at. He goes back. And unfortunately, I had to go to the bathroom. I had to pee. So I missed a couple minutes of it. When I get back into the theater, I look up at the screen, and he has just sliced up some guard. I mean, seriously. Big old knife in the gut. Big old knife in the side of the neck and the jugular 2 or 3 times. He's just hacking people up in this movie. The younger brother or older brother, I don't know which, because they had kind of a rivalry going, like, you should have listened to me. We should have killed him. We shouldn't have to worry about this guy at all. And so he realized a mistake that he's made in not killing this gringo who came after this young woman who they kidnapped. And so Rambo has killed his brother. When he goes in there, with all these guys. They bust in there. Rambo's gone, and there's just a corpse, a headless corpse laying upright, so eerie looking in the bed. He's freaking out. The next scene you see is of Rambo driving down the road. You don't see it's Rambo, but somebody throws a head out of the driver's side window, and I'm thinking to myself, oh man, what am I watching? What is this movie, Sly? Come on, this is nuts. How much is happening here? So basically, long story short, they all drive into Mexico, into the United States. I thought I saw 4 or 5 Jeeps. No, it's like 100 guys get out of these Jeeps somehow, because in the finale, and the whole finale is them running through their tunnels and falling into one of Rambo's traps after another. They're getting hacked up, they're falling into spiky pits, and then Rambo comes over and shoots them with a huge machine gun after they've fallen on spikes for a couple of minutes. I mean, literally just marinating in it. Just 1, 2, 3, 4. He's still shooting them. 5, 6. He's just blowing them up. Stabbing them through the chest with spears. They get blown up. They get their jaws knocked off. It's just endless carnage, like Jason Voorhees or something at the end of this movie. And a lot of it is his traps, although he does shoot a lot of them. And it won't end. I'm like, there were only 5 vans or so of Jeeps, and a couple of them were taken out by mines that he has strategically placed around his place. But then at the end, well, you know what? The only guy that's left is the one brother still alive. And Rambo's talking to him over the loudspeaker in the tunnels, and he's like, do you want to live? And the guy says, F you. And that's all he can say. That's all the writers can come up with this movie. And then he's like, follow the lights. He hits some switch or whatever, and the tunnels are blowing up. It's all caving in, and so he's got to run and run and run to outrun the explosions, follow the lights before he gets blown up. And then he's in the barn where the tunnels end. Rambo shoots him with arrows, pinning him up against the wall, and like severs his nerves in his arms or something so he can't move. That's how good a shot he is, we're supposed to believe. And I guess you just gotta go with it. He goes up to the guy, and here we go. He says, you tore my heart out with what you did. He had said that sometime during the movie. He's like, here's what it feels like. He's got this huge knife. And again, Rambo's been shot a couple times. Not mortal wounds. He's just staggering along. But it's pretty bad. He's still alive, though. He swings, like plunges the knife downward from above his head into the guy's chest. And the guy's like, ah! And you think you're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre now, which I've never watched, but I've seen clips on YouTube. And it's like, he is screaming as Rambo cuts the guy's heart out. And I think it actually beats a couple of seconds while it's in his hand, like a cartoon or something. And I'm thinking, he says, that's what it feels like. Oh, man. I couldn't. I watched this with my mother and my sister. This is insane. This is insane, Sly. Again, people are thinking this wrecked the franchise for some reason. And my reasoning for why they would think that is this. The most touching thing in this film, and again, I'm not out for it to be a drama or anything, but I need a good story. I do. The young woman dies, who was in, and again, hopefully, I'm not telling anybody who doesn't already know, but if I already warned you about the spoiler, so you can't blame me. She dies, being beaten and drugged. He tried to give her something, but he's trying to rush her to the hospital in the States. And he's driving along, and he's like saying, stay awake, look at me. One of those things. And he starts like, it's like a stream of consciousness dialogue where he's like, I watched you grow up, and when I first came back from all the stuff he's done, maybe think about 2004 in that last movie when he came home. Yeah, that would be a good time. Actually, that's perfect timing for how old she would be in this movie if she were a small girl then. So actually that adds up perfectly. Not that I thought about it until now, but he's telling her about how when he came home, it's like she was a blessing, she and her family, and to be able to know her and to look after her, how she helped him by her life to live better and to help him grow as a person and to calm down and to focus on peace and to just that he was thankful to know her. And basically at the very end of his dialogue, it's like she's just died. And he stops the truck realizing she's not breathing and she won't open her eyes. And he says this line, he says, "Why not me?" Like he's talking to God perhaps. Why not me? And that's the most that you get in the film as far as meaning. And yet there's no hope in it, and that's my complaint. There's no hope in this film. The old lady who's the aunt, or whoever the caretaker lady is, when she leaves Sly, she's going to go work for something. She's going somewhere. Before they hug, and she's in her truck, she looks out the window at him. Sly's right outside her door, and she says to him in Spanish, "I'll be sad forever." And he kind of like nods in an acknowledgement of where she's at in her thinking, and she drives off, and that's it. After the bloodbath at the end of the movie, if they had given me even just one thing, if they had given me this, I told my mom and sister this, if they had given me this one thing, if they had like gone back to that lady, the journalist lady who had helped save his life when he was beaten and he was left for dead by the slavers, as I'll call them, if they had showed some scenes of the women being rescued and some people getting arrested, but particularly some women getting rescued, that would have been enough. That really would have been enough for me to have had a sense of hope at the end. But in the end, he staggers over to the porch. You're thinking he's about to die. No, it doesn't show him die. He has this brief spiel about how I'll always fight. I'll always, and that's really, whether you talked about people who would take your freedom or whatever, I can't recall the exact words, but it basically said, I'll always fight. I'll always be here in a way. He's still bleeding. He's still gunshot when he gets on his horse, like he likes to ride around on his ranch, and like rides into the sunset, and yet he's still on his ranch. And I'm thinking to myself, please don't be it. Please don't be it. Please don't be it. That's it. And then they do this thing in the film that I hate so much. There's a montage of scenes from the prior films, even Rambo 4, which I haven't seen, but all these great little clips. And it's done in a visual way so that it doesn't show in the same way it would. It's like a slow motion effect, slightly blurred, with like a dramatized feel to it. And I just thought to myself, oh man, this is insane. I know I say the word insane a lot, but it bothers me. There was hope in the other films, even in the first one, by just him not being killed and not killing that policeman in the very end, being arrested and just saying, I surrender, I stop. And the sad music of the long road. And then there was a sequel film, yeah, but the story was better. And my main complaint in this film is the way I got the feeling that all the tragedy of the young woman dying, all this stuff, was just to get us to the big blood and guts finale, the 5-minute long montage of the villains getting their comeuppance in the tunnel, getting stabbed and blown up and just shredded by bullets, and just all the caved in, destroyed, and just dead. That's some poor stuff. It just doesn't feel like a Rambo movie. I'm not about to say that Sly has gone senile, but it seems like this could have been some other kind of movie. But maybe they wanted to use the name Rambo last blood to get a few more butts in the seats at the theaters or something, because this could have been something else. It really could. It could have been any of a number of like direct-to-DVD movies he's done. Anything like that, truly. It didn't have to be a Rambo movie, and it kind of taints it. I don't want to say that, but that's really the way I think and the way I feel about it. He loved the young woman. He cared about her, watched her. He helped her grow up. She died so horribly, and then he just annihilates all these guys, and it's like, that's it. That's all there is. It was just a revenge flick. That's the one thing I can agree totally with the online complainers, and even the SJWs, for those who were calling it that. It was a revenge flick, and I don't like that. He's a soldier. A soldier doesn't do revenge. It's just, might say it's justice, and yet, where's the hope? I need some hope. Seriously, I would have been satisfied if they had just a couple minutes of some of those young women being rescued and people getting arrested, busting up the place, the authorities in Mexico. Instead, you're left with this dark and dreary feeling like there's still this place out there that just, like you're watching Hostel or something like that, it's bad. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking about the movie. That's what I got to say about it. And I'll just end with this. I hope against hope that they do one more movie. Sly's got it in him, I have no doubt. You just need a really good story and end the franchise on a hopeful note. It can have all the action of the earlier movies. It's a Rambo film after all. It's just, I need a better story, because this thing, it really did derail something that was better than before this film. Again, there's plenty of entertainment in it as you go, but it's also heavy on the dark imagery. There's brutality in this that's not like the other Rambo movies, in my opinion. Then again, I haven't seen the fourth one. It may have been what I think I'm seeing in this. I know there's a clip somewhere online of when he uses a 50 cal machine gun and just blows a guy up at close range, like from 5 feet away. But at least somebody said there's a good story about there are these missionaries rescuing the missionaries or something like that are being held in this place. That's something right there, sure. But this film just left me feeling, well, at least they didn't kill him. So maybe there's hope of another film. And really, I hope he does it. I hope he does one more. And I hope it's good. I'll go see it. It's just got to be good. This kind of let me down. Anyways, for those of you who've listened to me all this while, big thank you. Thank you so much. It's more attention than I deserve. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.